Despite smoke billowing into the air, the ship remained in battle for as long as she could. She embodied the resilient spirit of the city she was named after, fighting the fires on board as she slipped back into formation. Though she was a hero in World War II, she'd become a true house of horrors. Welcome to Shipwreck Sunday. My name is Eleanor. Just a quick disclaimer for a younger audience before we dive in. This story may be disturbing to some, so viewer discretion is advised. Okay everyone, let's get into it. USS Boise was a light cruiser of the Brooklyn class in the United States Navy. She was named after the capital city of the U.S. state of Idaho, Boise. She was ordered on February 13, 1929, with her contract awarded to the Newport News Shipbuilding and Dry Dock Company in Newport News, Virginia on August 22, 1934, for the contract price of $11,650,000. She was laid down on April 1, 1935. She was launched on December 3, 1936, being sponsored by Miss Salome Clark, the daughter of Governor Barzilla Clark of Idaho. She'd be commissioned 2 years later on August 12, 1937, with Captain Benjamin von McCandlish in command. Before we get much further into her story, let's look at her specs. The Brooklyn-class light cruiser USS Boise displaced 9,767 long tons standard and 12,207 long tons maximum. She was 600 feet long overall, 608 feet 4 inches long at the waterline, had a beam of 61 feet 7 inches wide, 19 feet 9 inches mean draft, and 24 feet maximum draft. As for propulsion, she had 8 steam boilers generating 100,000 horsepower, which powered 4 geared steam turbines and 4 propellers. This gave her a speed of 32.5 knots. As for her identification, her hull symbol was CL-47 and her code letters were NAQG. Alright, let's look at her armament and armor. As for armament, she was equipped with 15 6-inch 47 caliber Mark 16 guns in 5 triple mounts, 8 5-inch 25 caliber anti-aircraft guns in single mounts, and 8 Browning half-inch caliber machine guns. As for armor, she had 3 1/4 to 5-inch thick armor around her belt, 2-inch thick armor for her deck, 6-inch thick armor on her barbettes, 1 1/4 to 6-inch thick armor on her turrets, and 2 1/4 to 5-inch thick armor on her conning tower. Boise was surprising, as she did have aircraft. She had 4 Curtiss SOC Seagull floatplanes launched by 2 stern catapults for reconnaissance. She was armed with far more than potato guns, and she was ready for World War II. If you're enjoying this video, leave me a like, subscribe to the channel for more content, and let me know down in the comments section below. Okay, let's get into her career. In February of 1939, following her shakedown cruise, also called sea trials, to Monrovia, Liberia, and Cape Town, South Africa, Boise joined Cruiser Division 9 Battle Force at San Pedro, California. Until November of 1941, she operated alternately off the West Coast and in Hawaii. She then escorted a convoy to Manila in the Philippine Islands, arriving on December 4th. This would put her away from Pearl Harbor when the Imperial Japanese Navy attacked the Navy base on December 7, 1941, thus starting the War in the Pacific. War was officially declared on both sides, America and Japan, on December 8, 1941, and USS Boise was off Cebu Island at this time. On January 9, 1942, Task Force 5 was in northern Australian waters, and Boise was in this task force. She, with Task Force Commander Rear Admiral Glassford aboard, departed Darwin that day with Marblehead and destroyers Barker, Parrott, Bulmer, Stewart, and Pope escorting the Dutch ship Bloemfontein that was transporting hastily restowed supplies, artillery, and artillerymen of the Headquarters Battery 26th Field Artillery Brigade and the 1st Battalion 131st Field Artillery that had arrived with the Pensacola convoy to Surabaya. Boise rejoined the other ships of TF-5 in the East Indies, but on January 21, 1942, she struck an uncharted shoal in Sape Strait, being damaged, and she had to stop in Colombo, Ceylon, Bombay, India, and Mare Island Navy Yard for repairs, which essentially saved her from being annihilated with the rest of the Allied ships during the various battles around Java. Finally, with her repairs done, she sailed on June 22nd to escort a convoy to Auckland, New Zealand. Boise returned to Pearl Harbor and was tasked to conduct a raiding cruise in Japanese waters in hopes of creating an impression, including generating radio traffic, of a striking force for Japan to draw attention away from preparations for Guadalcanal. Boise departed Pearl Harbor on July 27th and was expected to begin this raid on the Japanese Sampan patrol line guarding approaches to Honshu about 750 miles east of Tokyo on August 5th. She completed the raid on August 8th. 2 seaplanes that had to land on the water at sunset were lost, one being found by the Japanese with indications this caused apprehension of a strike force preparing to attack Japan. Sometime in August, she escorted a convoy to Fiji and New Hebrides. From September 14th to the 18th, she helped cover the landing of Marine reinforcements on Guadalcanal. To protect the transports carrying the 164th to Guadalcanal, Vice Admiral Robert L. Gormley ordered Task Force 64, consisting of the cruisers San Francisco, Boise, Salt Lake City, and Helena, as well as the destroyers Fahrenholt, Duncan, Buchanan, McCalla, and Laffey, to intercept and combat any Japanese ships approaching Guadalcanal and threatening the convoy. The ships took station on October 9th, awaiting word of any Japanese naval movement toward the southern Solomons. On the night of October 11th to the 12th of 1942, during the Battle of Cape Esperance, the task force of which Boise was part encountered a force of Japanese cruisers and destroyers to the west of Guadalcanal. In the engagement, Boise was hit numerous times, twice by fire from the Japanese heavy cruiser Kinugasa from about 7,500 yards away. One hit exploded on her armor, causing little damage, though the other hit under the waterline and exploded in the 6-inch magazine located between the number 1 and 2 turrets, causing a powder fire and flooding, disabling turrets 1, 2, and 3, and killing at least 107. Immediately, Boise sheared out of the column and retreated from the action. Boise extinguished her fire by 2:40 a.m., and by 3:05 a.m. she rejoined the formation. Under the command of Captain Mike Moran, who was later awarded the Navy Cross for his leadership during the battle, Boise made her way to the Philadelphia Navy Yard for repairs. She was dubbed the One-Ship Fleet by the press for her exploits, although this was mainly because the names of the other ships involved were withheld for security reasons. But hell, we'll take it. She'd be repaired from November 19, 1942 to March 20, 1943. Boise departed on June 8th for the Mediterranean, arriving at Algiers, Algeria on June 21st. From July 10th to August 18th, she acted as a cover and fire support ship for the amphibious Battle of Gela during the invasion of Sicily. In September, she took part in the Italian mainland landings at Taranto and Salerno. She returned to New York on November 15th and once again steamed to the South Pacific, arriving at Milne Bay, New Guinea on December 31st. During January through September of 1944, she took part in operations along the northern shore of New Guinea, including the Madong Alexishofen bombardment from January 25th to the 26th, the Humboldt Bay landings on April 22nd, the shelling of the Wakti and Sawar airfields to neutralize the danger of air attack on newly won Allied positions from April 29th through the 30th, the Battle of Wakti Tome landings from May 15th to the 25th, the Battle of Biak landings from May 25th to June 10th, the Battle of Norm 4 landings from July 1st to the 2nd, the Battle of Sansapor landings from July 27th to August 31st, and the Battle of Morotai landings from September 1st through the 30th. Then she moved north as the battlefront advanced into the Philippines, taking part in the following: the Leyte invasion from October 20th to the 24th, the Battle of Surigao Strait on October 25th, the Mindoro landings from December 12th to the 17th, the Leyte-Mindoro covering action from December 26th through the 29th, the Lingayen Gulf landings with General Douglas MacArthur embarked from January 4th to the 13th of 1945, the Luzon covering force from January 14th through the 31st, the Bataan Corregidor occupation from February 13th to the 17th, and the Zamboanga landings from March 8th through the 12th. Then Boise was off to Borneo for the Tarakan landings from April 27th to May 3rd. From June 3rd through the 16th, 1945, she carried General MacArthur on a 3,500-mile tour of the central and southern Philippines and Brunei Bay, Borneo, then returning to San Pedro, California, arriving there on July 7th. There she remained, undergoing overhaul and training until October. She then sailed on October 3rd for the East Coast, arriving at New York on October 20th, 1945. She remained there until she was decommissioned on July 1st, 1946. During her tenure with the U.S. Navy, she received 11 battle stars. It was the end for USS Boise as an American ship, but she'd see new life in Argentina. Thank you so much to our amazing YouTube members and patrons. If you'd like to have some awesome perks like episodes a full day in advance, join our YouTube memberships today. Okay, let's wrap up her career. USS Boise was sold to Argentina on January 11, 1951, along with Phoenix, where she was commissioned as 9 de Julio, meaning July 9th, which is Argentina's Independence Day, and Phoenix as 17 de Octubre, later General Belgrano. During her time in the Argentine Navy, her hull number was C5, and she participated in the 1955 Revolución Libertadora, where she shelled oil depots and military facilities in the city of Mar del Plata, along with a flotilla of destroyers on September 19, 1955. She was accidentally rammed by General Belgrano during an exercise on March 15, 1956, which resulted in damage to both cruisers. 9 de Julio was withdrawn from active service in May of 1971 and spent her golden years moored at the Puerto Belgrano naval base. By the mid-1970s, the now rat-infested ship was in a serious state of decay and abandonment. From March 1976 and until at least December of that year, she was set up as a clandestine detention center, aka a torture and extermination center, which were secret facilities used by the armed, security, and police forces of Argentina to torture, interrogate, rape, illegally detain, and murder people. A number of cabins were converted into cells in which disappeared persons were temporarily held for periods ranging from days to months, while torture sessions took place at the headquarters of the Naval Establishment's police. At least one baby was born in captivity inside the former USS Boise, its fate remaining a mystery. 9 de Julio was finally struck on October 31, 1977, and sold on June 28, 1981, with the manifesto stating she was to be moored at Brownsville, Texas, and converted into a museum ship. Instead, she was towed to Japan and scrapped for metal there in 1983. Honestly, thank goodness. With the number of poor, tortured souls trapped in that ship, it really needed to be put to rest. General Belgrano, the former USS Phoenix, remained in service until her sinking during the Falklands War by the British submarine HMS Conqueror. USS Boise saw tremendous triumph and heinous crimes all within her hull. She was simultaneously a hero and a villain, leaving a strange taste in one's mouth when we think of her. Despite the horrendous antics the Argentinian government put her up to, it does not erase her courageous wartime service in the Pacific. The aircraft carrier's paint had barely finished drying by the time she'd first see action. She was the largest Japan had built at the time, and she was a glimmering beacon of hope as she entered the war, hoping to turn the tides in Japan's favor. An American submarine would dash these hopes, lurking in the water like a great white. On next Sunday's episode of Shipwreck Sunday, we get into the story of Shinano.